She's alive. Alive!
And we're here. And I'm changing it, right? Do you know how usually we go, it's alive, alive, all the guts and gore, none of the guilt. This is the Horrorverse Headlines. Better late than never.
It's true.
Fuck me, man. Do you know what?
We had a panic.
It was just typical, wasn't it? I mean, it was one of these things of you prepare, over-prepare for something. And then no matter what, like last minute, everything shuts down. So we are about to get into an interview with Joe Lamb, who is the writer and director of the new movie, The Fetus, which is awesome. We watched it. It's great. But we did this interview last night with the hopes of having it up last night.
Yeah.
And about a half an hour before that we got in contact with Joe, we realised that one of the microphones wasn't working. No, but what was it? Oh, no.
Everything stopped working.
First, it was duplicating my voice on the recording. So there was me, you'd hear me, and then you'd hear me again, and then you'd get the next thing. So I was trying to fix that, and then suddenly everything stops working. And that's 20 minutes before we're due to get on the call with him. So suddenly everything goes into panic stations, and I'm trying to move everything off my computer onto your computer and set everything up really, really fucking quickly. And we think we have everything sorted. And suddenly I realized we don't have a monitor. We can't hear ourselves. We don't know how we sound. But I thought, it's okay.
It'd be fine.
I use the same settings every podcast. We literally everything is set up the way it's always set up in every other episode of every other show we do. This shouldn't be a problem that I can't hear myself. I can see the sound waves. And it should have been like that. I know if I'm going too loud or if I'm too quiet or whatever. I can see it in the sound waves in front of me. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. And we cracked on with the interview. One microphone shuts down almost instantly. So for most of the video, if you're watching, and if the audio sounds like sometimes we're far away and sometimes we're close, even though the echo probably achieved that anyway, we had to be swapping the mic back and forth, over and back. Do you know what? I wanted to edit this last night.
You were drained, in fairness to you.
I can fix most things, but I knew instantly, like within 2 seconds of pressing play on the audio, I knew I couldn't fix the problem. I was like, balls. I was like, because it's this little knob right here on my microphone that's an echo filter. And I don't know why someone needs an echo filter that badly that it needs to be there all the fucking time. But it's
caught us before. That's the killing part.
The second time it's fucked me over. A full episode would have to be thrown out.
Tape it into place.
I'm going gluing the bastard into place. I don't see the point because I have echo filters all over these programs here that will do the job for me. But either way, obviously at some stage when we were panicking and moving all the equipment while this was crashing and freaking out, one of us must have twisted the knob without knowing. And then at that point, we did the interview, not able to hear us. I mean, Joe was too nice to tell us that we were echoing all over the fucking shop.
Could Joe hear the echo?
He had to. I mean, it was all over the recording. So, I mean, look, the upside here is that 90% of what you're about to hear is Joe Lamb talking and not us. And his side of the audio was crystal clear. So that's perfect. It was a little embarrassing for us, but you live and you learn. And the way I see it is it's our second interview ever. We're trying to figure things out. We're a little nervous at the start. You can hear we're a little nervous at the start, but we started to get into it. I mean, I'd like to do a few more. What I am going to start doing is watch-alongs on Patreon because that'll start getting me into the flow of talking to people on the fly.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing. This was live. We couldn't exactly ask them to come back and redo it. So I was like, oh, well, fuck it. It's good enough.
It wouldn't have sounded as good if we were
like I said, we're in such a small portion of it. And he could understand what we were asking. So you should be able to understand what we were asking. And he gives really great answers. And he gets into the making of the movie and some of his own influences and some of where he came from and where he's going. And it's really interesting. It's really fun. For people who don't know, The Fetus is about a couple struggle to learn the truth about the origins of their unborn child, a demonic entity that emerges from the body. It's directed by Joe Lamb, it's written by Joe Lamb, and it stars Bill Mosley, the legend himself, Chop Top, Lauren LaVera, and Julian Curtis. So it is a banger. It's a serious movie. It's well worth watching. It's in cinemas at the moment. I think you said they got an extended release. We'll talk about that at the end. We'll tell you where you can find the movie in the end as well. And Joe will tell you in the interview where you can find the movie right now, or book the movie right now to go see, or pre-order it for a digital release, which is only in a few weeks' time. So I can't wait to watch it again, to be honest. It's awesome. So here we have it. Joe Lamb interview coming up now.
Enjoy.
Hey Joe, we're going to get this out of the way from the start and say we watched your new movie, The Fetus. It's absolutely brilliant, very original, full of twists and turns and surprisingly funny moments. Not to be too spoilerish, but I mean, the twists and turns especially caught me off guard. I mean, it seems like every time you thought someone had the power in that movie, suddenly it would just change and somebody else would have control of the narrative and everyone would be submissive to them for a period of time. And it just kept switching all of a sudden, from one character having the power to the next character having the power. And the funny moments, I mean, I don't want to spoil too much, but Chris constantly getting his ass handed to him by Maddox made me laugh every single time. Yeah, it was brilliant. I think you should be really proud of this movie and fair play to you. Well done. It's absolutely an excellent movie. I can't recommend it higher. I can't give it a higher recommendation to anybody. I'd tell everybody to go watch this movie. It's absolutely awesome. Really funny, really tense at times. And I mean, the themes that run throughout it, there's multiple themes running out throughout it. And it's a really easy movie to follow, and it's excellent. You should be really proud of it. Really, really good movie.
Oh, thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. And Josh and Amy, thank you for having me on your show. You guys just helping to get out indie filmmakers and their work out to the public means a lot to me because we're not the big studio. We don't have big budgets at all. And so every little bit helps. So appreciate it.
Oh, well, we appreciate you giving us our time. Kind of works both ways. Having you on here helps us too. So we appreciate it. I suppose opening up, we'd like to ask you some maybe background questions. You cool with that?
Sure. Yeah.
So what started you off in all this? What got you interested in filmmaking? What was the spark that got you on this road?
It was a movie that my English teacher showed me when I was in, I think it was junior high, and it was called Citizen Kane. And, once I saw it and I was just blown away. I mean, I actually saw that there was a craft behind making movies. I thought movies just happened like someone who makes pencils, you just spit it out. But I had no idea there was so much artistry that went behind it. And that's what got me excited about filmmaking.
And were you always a horror fan?
Yeah. I mean, one of the first horror films I ever saw was The Exorcist. When I was a kid, I should not have seen that movie. Traumatized me to the point where I haven't seen it again. I have no need. I have no desire to see it. It's like scarred me that much. And other movies like The Fly, where I remember when I was a kid, I went to my parents' room. I slept in my parents' room for 2 weeks straight because I kept looking up the window from when I was in my bedroom and expecting the fly to crash through. And so.
And is that the original Fly or the 80s Fly?
The Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, yeah.
Very good movie. Yeah.
What would you say outside of horror? What would be your all-time favorite movie genre or movie and genre?
Well, it's a mix because I love horror is great, but I also love like action and sci-fi. And so when Aliens came out, that blended the combination of those genres. To me, the greatest action sci-fi horror movie ever. That's just hands down,
It is an amazing movie. We were actually lucky enough to go to the premiere of Romulus when it was here in Ireland, and it was
A1. Yeah. And so was writing and directing always your first choice? Because you have a cameo in the Fetus that was behind the camera always your main goal.
Oh, yeah, it's always been directing.
Yeah.
Just when again, goes back to high school, I started making video projects for class when I didn't have to. It's just for like certain presentations, I would do that. And everyone else was just putting things on poster board or just writing them out. I did a full-blown video and edited it all together. The goal has always been to be a feature film director. I don't care about commercials, promos, the music videos. Yes, I've done that kind of work. I just don't care for it, to be honest. I did it because it helped me cut my teeth in terms of all the technical issues and creative issues that came along with it. But yeah, it's always been directing, and I would not step on foot onto any production unless I was going on as director. Unless, of course, I was helping out a friend. That's different. But I would not work in any capacity other than that. Yeah, and I've helped a bunch of friends. Like anything they need, I'll because it's reciprocal and we're friends. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how did your first feature-length movie end up being in the horror genre? If you're a sci-fi fan, you're an action fan, how did it end up being horror for this one?
Well, my last short film is called Fugitive Zero, and anyone can watch it. They go to fugitivezero.com. It's an action thriller, and that was my intention to be my first film. But I had sent it out to about 10 people during virtual Cannes in the pandemic, and the 10th producer liked it a lot, and he could just tell. I was like, okay, this guy is going to be on his way to making movies. He saw the hustle in me, and he said, well, here's a horror script that I'm looking for a director. Would you be open to directing this? I read it, did not like it. It was like some guy in the forest, and there's 3 demonic women trying to kill him, so he ends up killing them. I'm like, that's just not for me. There was no societal commentary. There was no morals. There was just nothing in there for me. Just a straight slasher, which I'm not interested in.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, what if I write a 3-page treatment, and then from there I'll write you a full-blown screenplay in a month. And he thought I was just BSing, And sure enough, I did exactly that. And he was like, okay, let's develop this further. And then, 45 drafts, 1 year later, came out with the Fetus.
Let's see, we were just about that. The next question was, what is your writing process like? So, I mean, 45 drafts, that's a lot, man. So it took you a fair bit of time?
My writing process is it's whatever it takes. I do have a process though. I mean, I say that because I will do whatever it takes to get it to the point where it's working for people and it's affecting them intellectually, emotionally, and it's engaging. I respect the audience so much that I'm willing to do whatever it takes until it gets there before putting it out. Of course, I'm never going to catch everything. It's never going to be perfect. But my writing process is to figure out what are the themes, what are the trauma behind each character, and if they're either going to grow, stay the same, or get worse. There's only 3 options for characters. Exactly. And so by doing so, then I can figure out who is going in which direction, which character arc. How do they mix together, and how do they be polar opposites? Because you don't want 2 characters wanting the same thing. You might as well combine them together. There's no point in that. And then, of course, what are the themes? What are the big picture things? What's going on in our society? What is something that people can debate as well? Because if a film can spark a debate, like I love Christopher Nolan movies. It's like, is the guy dreaming? Is he not dreaming? Oh my God. Like, or it's like, The Matrix, would you take the red pill? Would you take the blue pill? Which one is it? Rosemary's Baby, right? Would you keep the baby, or would you not? All right. So I love all these questions that films bring up.
And would you say that those were the influence for the idea of the fetus, the exact same thing, that choice in the fetus, the pro-life, pro-choice, basically, and that influenced the idea? Because
it is a very hot topic in your country, especially at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, Rosemary's Baby was, definitely top of mind for me.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to do something in a way where there's a lot more debate between 2 different sides. And not only that, my other 2 inspirations were The Thing and Nightmare on Elm Street. Because for me, to tackle a subject like this, to try to do it in a serious tone, like Rosemary's Baby, I think it would have been a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. Because I have a funny sense of humor that just naturally comes out in my writing. And because this story was so wild and zany and off the wall crazy, and with just certain things that are happening in there, because I just never seen them in a horror movie that I wanted to test out and bring out, I was like, we can't do this full serious. Like, there is no way. They're going to laugh at it as opposed to laugh with it. That's why I had to do both the blend of the serious and the comedy and the craziness together.
Well, you did a very good job at it. It is very well crafted, and the funny moments are very well placed in the movie. They do lighten the mood at certain points, and they're very well placed. I think they're very well done. So when you're doing something like this,
well, Josh, I have to pause you for a second. You might want to bring the camera to bring the microphone to you because it gets really low that I can hardly hear.
Apologies.
Yeah, you just swing it back and forth, and you guys will be.
Well, that's what we'll do. We'll just swing it back and forth.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a project like this, I know like storyboarding can be a big side of it. And I know if I was doing something like this, I'm like OCD. I'd need like scene by scene, almost like a comic book in front of me. Do you have to storyboard like that, or are you more flexible and on the fly creative when you're making these movies?
I storyboard everything. Every scene, every shot, every moment. I have to because it's low budget. We're moving fast. We originally shot 17 days, and later on the end was 21 days total because we had 2 other separate shoots. But I have to be as prepared as possible. Now the only thing is, I wish that if we had a higher budget and we had more days, I would have done certain scenes differently and storyboarded them in a different way where it's like almost like shooting more like Spielberg, who's sometimes he does like one take shots and it's just the camera's moving in a certain way. But then you're talking about either Steadicam or dolly shot or crane shots. I'd love to get to that level, but at this level, we had to be as efficient as possible. But in the end, it worked because nobody minds it. People actually like the way it flows and the shots. So
speaking of on the fly creativity, I've heard you say that Bill Mosley was always who you had in mind to play Maddox, but that he decided to play the character differently to the way you originally envisioned. Now, we all know Mosley is a horror legend. So was it hard for you to stay quiet and watch his version of the character evolve from your original vision? Or was it easy to just trust that he knew what he was doing? And how did his version of the character change the overall shape of the fetus as a whole?
You ask a very good, very tough question there, Josh. That's no one's really asked that yet. And it's tough because I'm a pretty honest guy, so I have to be honest with this. Because if I'm not, I think people would sense the inauthenticity. Yeah. And I didn't like it in the beginning. I didn't like it. I was just like, he wants to do what? He wants the character to be neater. He doesn't want the character to smoke a pipe. He doesn't want him to be like run down like PTSD, Vietnam vet, and just still like stuck in the past. But when we went to editing, I realized I'm like, oh, I can see the connection of father and daughter here. I was like, if he had done it my way, the way that I had written, and it is in there. You guys smoking a pipe and the way he's dressed and he's, just sucking his teeth and he's just a moody, like unhappy guy. But it wouldn't have made sense with Lauren LaVera, the way she played Alessa, because it would have been such a disconnect. It's like, how could this daughter allow her father to be in such bad shape then? Because you can tell that she cares for him and cooks for him and all that stuff and hugs him and loves him. And so I just thought, oh, wow, like he knew the right thing to do for this character. It was my way would have just not have been good.
And speaking of Lauren LaVera, she obviously blew up from the success of Terrifier 2 and 3 when the movie was being made. So I like it in the sense of her success. Was it a plus for you that it was going to bring eyes to the fetus?
Like, were you seeing dollar signs when Terrifier 2 and 3 was blowing up? Were you like, yes, do it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Anything helps, because it's movies are cast dependent in a way. It's not always the end all be all, but it certainly helps when you have fans who really love a certain actor in the past work that they've done. And that's the reason why we cast Bill Mosley first, because we wanted someone who had years or decades of a fan base. And then from there, we cast the younger actors because otherwise the younger actors oftentimes, unless they started when they were like, a toddler in entertainment, then they don't have as much of a following, or this, or else like the age gets too gets too high to play these characters then. But yeah, it absolutely helped in terms of, getting press. We've had a lot of press for this film that not many indie horror films get. So.
And what was it like working with Bill Mosley? I mean, a horror legend in your first feature-length movie. That's obviously a huge plus.
It's really just, me saying, okay, Bill, I wrote this. It's yours now. This is your character. You take ownership. I'm just here to set the environment. We'll set all the camera and lighting and all the props and everything. And it's your playground. Whatever you're going to do, your choices, that's what's going to end up on screen. So you take full ownership of it. I'm passing the baton to you. And that has been my approach, because before, when I first started as a director, I was very heavy-handed. I was like, oh, be angrier. Oh, do it this way. Turn this way when you say this line. And things would just come out wooden. And the actors I was working with, they were fairly new to the industry too, so they didn't know how to handle it, and things would just come out in just the poor performances. And it falls on me, because I was doing it. It's called result direction, as opposed to just letting the actors do what they do best, especially someone with 40 years experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
I heard in another interview that you said you were working on a behind the scenes companion book for the Fetus. And you also mentioned in the same interview that Lauren's process to get into character was to journal and flesh out her character's bio and history. Is there any chance of us seeing some of those notes, some of those character notes in this companion book?
She never showed me that. I know that's like, she offered to me, and I said, well, yeah, I'm happy to look at it. If that helps you, I said, I don't need it, but if it helps you, for me to understand what you've written, and she considered it, but she just never showed it. I know she's shown other directors her notes, but so no, it's not going to be in there, unfortunately. But it is going to be something like I created for my last short film, which is Fugitive Zero, and it'll have a whole bunch of things inside of it, that like the cast, the crew, and the photos, and all sorts of behind the scenes things and concept art. So I'm excited, because I've already started creating it, but I just need to continue and working on it.
So a real collector's item.
Oh yeah. And it's going to be bigger than this. This is a kind of a small one.
I read that you had multiple test showings of the film, and you made the decision to change the ending of the film because of the audience's reaction to what you call yourself an originally abrupt ending. Was that hard for you as a director and as a perfectionist to change the ending to suit the audience?
Yeah, well, the weird thing was, when I'd written it, it ended at a certain point, but then I had an inkling, a little intuition that said, hey, there's more to this. But doing that extra extended ending, it scared me, because we had already locked down Bill. I think it was Bill, but then we already had the locations locked down too, and the shoot date. So I was like, oh, we were fully funded. And I thought, all this stuff here, there is so much craziness, practical puppeteering, visual effects, all the special effects, makeup. It was like all this stuff rolled into it, that it scared me to do this part, which would have been a lot more intense. And logistically, I just didn't know how to do it in the time frame that we had, because we had a limited time frame to go. And so I just put it aside. Let's film this first. We'll see how it goes. And then so after doing it, editing it, doing a green screen shoot, in LA to fill in all the gaps that were missing, doing the test screenings, and then realizing like people felt the way that I felt watching it, is that they were going up, and it just ends abruptly. And so they wanted more. The great thing is they wanted more. If they didn't want more, then I would have been like, okay, you know what? Let's just get this movie out there, and that's it. We don't need to do anything else. But because they wanted more, then I was like, I'm willing to go back, raise the funds, do justice to this, because my mantra is always do what's best for the audience. always comes down to the audience. It's not about me. It's not about the actors, not about the crew. It's the audience, always.
You're just talking about effects there. How important was it for you to use practical effects in the Fetus over CGI? I know you use CGI to clean up the end product and for some small, unavoidable bits and pieces, which, in my opinion, is the right way to use CGI. But audiences, especially horror audiences, myself included, hate seeing CGI in horror. So was that important for you, or would you be just as happy making a Marvel-style green screen blockbuster?
It was 100%. I would not have done it without practical effects. No way. I'm like, what's the point? I've seen so many movies where, and let's say there's sequels, or not sequels, but like there's remakes. And let's say the first one had practicals, the second one had practicals, they're both great. And then you go to the third one and it's like fully CGI. And I can't even watch it. I literally just have to turn it off because I could, maybe because I'm a filmmaker, I can see deeper into it. And so it takes me out of the movie so much that I'm just
massively.
Yeah, it's just fake. I just can't buy into it at all.
I remember when we watched The Pope's Exorcist, and I remember kind of enjoying the movie the whole way through, and then you get to the end and the demon is just this big CGI demon, and that's all I can remember from that movie, and all I can remember was I hated the ending. You know, and that's the only memory I have of that movie, you know.
Yeah.
So I do think the practical effects really do make a difference in horror movie.
Yeah.
What was it like working with puppets? I mean, I heard Jennifer Tilly say in an interview, if you're working with a puppet and the puppet is logistically difficult to work with, it doesn't matter how you good are as an actor. If that puppet, if that scene went perfectly, it was like, great, you're done, puppet worked. Next scene. Is that what it's like to work with a puppet like that?
Essentially, she said that if Chucky got the scene right and Jennifer got a scene that was okay, they would accept the scene as being perfect because Chucky got it right. How do you prioritize the puppet and the actors' performances?
They both have to work. There's no favoring one or the other to me. They both have to work. I remember one time the hand of one of the puppets just didn't work. It just wouldn't go up to pull the string. It just was stuck. So we had to just stop. The puppeteers had to figure it out how to fix it. Otherwise, you can't have this thing walking like this, and it's just. Otherwise, we'd have to shoot around that. We could have done that, but I mean, they managed to somehow make it work, and I don't know, but it has to work. Otherwise, or you still film it like that, but then you have to fix it in with the CGI later on. But then you're going frame by frame, and see what I mean? You're adjusting it. So.
For fans who haven't seen The Fetus and are interested in watching it, how would you say it differs from other recent pregnancy horror films like The First Omen and Immaculate?
Immaculate, yeah.
Obviously, there's comedy in your one, but I would mean the overall maybe themes and the story.
I'll be honest, Immaculate, it didn't really do it for me. I was kind of like, what is this about? I'm watching it, and I'll be honest, I felt it's no shade to the filmmakers, but I fell asleep in it. I have a tendency, if it doesn't really engage me, I will fall asleep. Whether it's a big movie or a small, it doesn't matter. It has to fully engage me. And the problem is because I've studied storytelling so much that if it's not done right, it won't engage my brain and my emotions, and I shut off. And that's just, and I work a lot. I work every single day. I pretty much work every day, and on The Fetus right now, trying to get the movie out and get it to the public and all of that. And so that unless something's engaging me, I will just tune out and fall asleep, which is, I mean, it sounds strange. But it's because I study storytelling as well so much that stories have to work on full cylinders almost. If it's not full, then it's just I had this weird thing. I just tune out, and it's unfortunate because I wasn't like that before when I was growing up. I could watch everything, but when I study it so much, it's gotta be just right. It's almost like if you're a musician and you're going to a concert and they're not playing the notes right, it's like I can imagine it's like almost torture to the musician listening to it, who knows how the notes should be played, if that makes any sense, you know.
And in that sense, can you still enjoy movies to that degree? Because I know I'm a huge professional wrestling fan. And for about 2 years, I trained and performed as a professional wrestler here. And now I sit and I watch a professional wrestling show, and I can literally tell you move for move what's about to happen. So, it's kind of ruined it for me in that sense, where I can call the match before it's all over. Do you feel like that when you're watching movies now? Are you sitting there going, well, I know exactly where this narrative is going. I know where the direction of this is going. So now I'm going to fail out.
No, I don't try to predict where movies go. I just look and see, what they're doing, if they're able to engage the audience or not. And it affects me because you can create a character that can really engage an audience, that is active and is driving the story. So a person who is essentially in the driver's seat of a vehicle. But a lot of movies take that main character, they put them in the passenger's seat. And so a lot of things are done to them and they're just reacting. That can work in certain types of movies, but they also have to get into the driver's seat at times as well. Otherwise, it is considered a passive character versus an active character. And that really bugs me a lot of times. Or the characters are a certain way that it doesn't engage me, and their actions, it's almost like watching everybody just being despicable in a movie, and it becomes hard to follow. But if they're all like that, then it's like they're all the same type of person versus having the full spectrum of humanity showcased. It's like if you go to a circus show, you don't want to just see a juggler and then another juggler comes out and then like the 10th person comes out is a juggler. It's boring. You want to see this full spectrum of human behavior, emotions, what drives people, the betrayals, the love, all of that going on. But sometimes I'll watch a movie and all the characters are like despicable. And I'm just like, really? That's it? Like, you're not giving me any other flavors in this story.
Yeah.
And so,
well, you certainly managed to pull that off in the Fetus. There is a very wide spectrum of, I suppose, like you say, humanity and different kind of levels of. You can hate someone 1 minute, and you're in the Fetus. You might hate a character 1 second and love them the next. And it's constantly switching. So you do that very well in the movie.
I've heard you say that you wanted the Fetus puppet to look half demonic, half human, so that people could relate to it and the struggle with the idea of whether to keep it or kill it. But I think that a lot of mothers would tell you that the maternal bond would make that an easy choice, like regardless of the negative repercussions, like surrounding a demon baby, because you see it play out in movies like Rosemary's Baby. Like Rosemary is terrified of what's inside her the whole movie, but by the end, the fact that the child is the spawn of Satan is irrelevant even, because she sees it only as her baby. So what kind of reaction did other women give you to the kill it or keep it choice in the movie?
Wow. Good question. Oh boy, it's funny because most people they accept it. Like nobody ever says like, I can't believe they kept that baby. Like nobody says that. But there's a reason why, because there's a blend.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, it's almost like, this is tough, because it has to be done in a certain way to make you either accept or reject. And if the creature was like way too like gruesome and nasty, then that's an immediate rejection.
Yeah.
So that's why Alex Rojas, who designed all of our puppets, he did it in a way where there's that crossover between human and demon, and it's kind of like, well, I can't accept this, but it's based on the parents, like if they're able to come together and pull through, then it can work. But if not, then it won't, and hopefully I'm not giving away any spoilers here, but
No.
I'm thinking right now, I'm trying to retrace what I just said, but
It's all right. People with us are used to spoilers. We usually are 100% spoiler. We are going spoiler free for this because it's such a new movie. So, why did you decide to go unrated with The Fetus? And why do you think so many movie makers, especially horror film makers, are making the same choice? Do you think the old movie rating system is a little outdated in the modern internet era? Or is it kind of like a badge of honor, like a parental advisory sticker that used to be on the CDs in the before time?
With the internet, I mean, like you could watch anything. Like the parents have to take control and monitor what the kids are watching. There's so many sites where it just says, are you 18 and over? And, and you can just click and then you just see whatever's behind there.
Yeah.
So it's just, does it really matter? I don't know what that's for, except for going into the theaters. I mean, right. So then the parent, I mean, but typically a horror film, horror usually equals rated R. Like if you got a PG-13, is that really a horror movie? I don't know. I'm like at that. I don't know if I even watch a PG-13 horror movie. I mean,
I'm usually very slow to do that. Very slow. I've watched one or two good ones. I mean, Megan. I saw the TV Glow. They were good movies, but at the same time, I get you. If I see a PG-13 movie, I got to watch a few trailers beforehand to make sure I want to watch this movie.
Yeah, look, if you got a movie called, like, let's say Demon Spawn or Fetus, I mean, it's gonna push some boundaries. It's called the Fetus, right? Like I don't need to tell you, oh, by the way, this is R. Like it's kind of just, it's silly to me. It's like, what if someone's like, I watched it expecting it to be a G-rated movie. Come on. Look at the name, look at the trailer, and
I watched this with my children.
I mean, it's like, I mean, we have been banned from Etsy.
Oh, really?
Like, I put up, early on, I put up mugs, some of the T-shirts, and the hats. It literally just said The Fetus on it. We did not have this poster design, just the title The Fetus. And it was like a month later, we got banned, and I had 6 months to appeal, and I kept trying to appeal, and they wouldn't even let me appeal. And I'm like, all right, Etsy, I'm banned for life. My email account associated with that, it's done for. I can't even place an order for myself on Etsy if I wanted to.
Oh, wow.
That's how banned I am. So, and we've had even sales agents, companies, like, they want to take on our film, but then the CEO catches wind of it, watches it, and he says he felt too uncomfortable with taking on the film. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's good to know. We've had someone else that was an influencer, had 1.4 million followers. And it's, oh, here's our trailer. I'll pay you to do a post on it. She watches it and she says, I can't do this. She said it could offend my followers. We've had a distributor interested in taking on our film and says Walmart will not accept your movie, The Fetus. He says, you got to change the name. I'm like, what? Like Demon Spawn? And it's like, yeah, that's better. And I'm like, look, Josh and Amy, if you guys have a child and you've named your child, let's say Chris, and then let's say trying to send him to a school, and the school says, we don't accept anyone named Chris here. You're going to have to change your child's name.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
It is
pretty ridiculous in today's day and age when you do have movies like Terrifier and stuff like that come out that really push the boundaries of blood, guts, and gore, and it's becoming such a big movie. You would think stuff like this would be,
especially if it's just the name that's making people uncomfortable. That's a sign of the time. I think that Demon Spawn is more acceptable over fetus as a word. It's a completely acceptable biological term. Do you know what I mean?
I think because it's not human. If you say demon spawn, it's nothing to do with humans. Fetus has to do with humans, and that's the issue with the whole pro-life debate that's been going on as well.
Yeah. So is that why you crowdfunded to get some of the movie made, to bypass the Hollywood studios for more freedom on what you could do with the movie?
No. Because our crowdfunding, what we raise in crowdfunding is like it's so minuscule to our budget. I did it to force myself to create products like this.
Okay.
It was because if people were going to expect to have a reward of a paperback book, a photo book, a documentary, that's why I did it. And that's why I just put $10,000. I knew I could get it. Whereas other campaigns, they raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. But it's to force myself to work on merchandise to accompany the film.
Okay.
And is there more pressure on you budget-wise with an indie film like this? I imagine without a big studio backing you, you have to be watching every penny to get the film finished.
Well, luckily our investors are very open to spending money when to promote the film. You know, if it's gonna help, it's because they love the film. And they see the responses from the influencers we've sent it to, and like yourselves, right? Because if people were just lukewarm about the movie, yeah, we wouldn't get additional funding for marketing. Myself, I've literally put in 50 grand of my own money. I gave back my entire producing, writing, directing fee and put in even more money into it to finish the visual effects and even do my own visual effects and edit it myself, because that's what it needed. And so I'm kind of lost in the question now, but I hope that answers.
We can move on. What's it been like marketing your first feature-length movie?
Marketing it. It's been interesting because we've been going to conventions, and we've been bringing on models to wear these pregnant bellies.
Awesome.
We would literally have people saying like, this is the best marketing for a movie I've ever seen. And we have them have a baby stroller and we fill it up with these little condom wallets here as a QR code. So if you scan it, and everyone watching, you can scan it and you can enter to win a free cabin getaway to the same location where we actually filmed the fetus.
Amazing.
And so people have loved it. They're really engaged with it. I wanted to figure out what was in the movie and what could be taken from there and put into the real world so people can connect with it and have things that are multifunctional. You can actually use, because we create these condom boxes, it's FDA approved. You can actually use these condoms safely, but don't come after me.
Just about to ask.
Yeah, if it breaks, please don't come after me. You know, accidents do happen. Yeah. Condoms are not 100% foolproof, but I wanted to make sure that it would be safe and FDA approved if anyone does want to use it.
Well, if it breaks, at least it's true to life with the movie, in keeping with the movie.
So was this your first idea for a horror movie, or do you have more stored away for a rainy day? Will we get more horrors?
I think I'd be willing to do more horror, but I need to do an action thriller sci-fi first.
I read in another interview that you're not just open to a sequel with the fetus, but you had an idea for the sequel. Can you give us a little idea of what that may be, or is this way too early, or something you need to keep to yourself right now?
I think, yeah. It would depend on if certain cast members want to come back. If they don't want to come back, then there's workarounds to it. But I would want to see it as an evolution of the story. I would not want to tell the same story again, because that just irks me when movies have all these sequels and it just feels like a rehash. And like, for example, Die Hard. Oh, that's like one of the greatest action movies ever. Then they make Die Hard 2, and I just had this empty feeling, and I'm like, oh, really? Like it just feels like a rehash of the first one. Or there's a lot of horror movies that are like that too. It's just the same thing. The killer's chasing, new characters this time, or the daughter or the son of the previous ones that they already killed. And it's like, I'm like, okay, what's new here? What is the evolution? What is like the Breaking Bad for movie sequels, where that character, Walter White, continually changed every single season.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like we were getting a new TV show every single time, because they were all new characters every time.
Oh yeah. So what are your goals going forward after The Fetus?
It is to make a action thriller sci-fi. It's called Memory Hunter.
I have heard that being mentioned. In another interview, I've read about it. All right. Memory Hunter and Ex Gratia. Those are the next in line for you.
Yes, that I'm writing and will direct. Ex Gratia is my producing partner. He plans to direct that.
Okay.
And my goal as a filmmaker is to tackle different areas affecting society.
Mm.
And so The Fetus tackles one area, and then the next one is going to tackle the criminal justice system. And then I just want to go from there, all different societal topics that we're all torn about, or we can debate and have people look at the story and kind of reconsider their position one way or another. And I'm not making like firm stances of this is the right way, but it's because people on one side plant their flag and say this is the absolute right way for society to live, and the other side does the exact same thing. This is the exact way the society has to live, but there's no dialogue as a result.
Yeah.
And so that is my intention as a filmmaker, to create the dialogue so two groups of people can come together and at least discuss and find a way to move forward.
And what advice would you give to aspiring filmmakers and writers that would be listening to us?
I would say just create. I would say drop the word aspiring, because the moment you start writing, the moment you pick up a camera, the moment you do sound work, you are a filmmaker. There is no aspiring. Like if you want to climb a mountain like K2, you wouldn't aspire to it. You would just start buying all the things. You would start taking training, and you would start climbing smaller mountains. Just get out there and just do it, and just dedicate every single day to doing. Spend a half an hour every single day.
Yeah.
Don't let one day go by without just doing a little. It doesn't matter what it is. But if you wait an entire week, 6 days, and then one day you're doing something as a filmmaker, it's so easy to be knocked off. You got to do it every single day. I work every single day on film, whether I'm writing, marketing this film, creating merchandise, doing a podcast. Like it's every single day. Even when I'm vacationing, I'm doing something like that. There are no days off for me as a filmmaker, because I need to create. I need to have the creativity constantly flowing. It's like a stream flowing through the forest. If you stop it, things can start happening and building up, and that stream can go away.
Yeah.
You don't want that creative stream to stop flowing.
That's good advice. Yeah.
Right?
I have one last question that I'd like to ask. It's a bit fun. A question for a bit of fun. If you could remake any movie you wanted, what would it be, why, and how would you give it a new original spin?
Wow. That's tough, because you're asking me to look at like movies I don't like. Oh, wow. That's a very tough one, because I don't usually think about like movies I don't like. Wow, I've never had someone ask me that before.
If it's too hard, we can bypass.
Kind of dig through a whole bunch of movies that like had a great concept but didn't quite hit the mark.
I mean, for me, it was it Night of the Creeps? with the college one, and I just felt like it was a good story, good idea, but there wasn't enough blood, guts, and gore in the movie to really, like we said, it was more PG-13 feeling than blood, guts, and gore for a zombie movie. And you know, if it was me, that would be the one I'd want to just see redone, just to see if we could make it a bit nastier. Anyway, look, this has been awesome. It's been a lot of fun, and we don't want to take up too much of your time. Before we go, do you want to tell people how they can check out The Fetus and when and where it'll be available to the mass public?
Sure. You can go to thefetusfilm.com. That is a website that has everything, that has events coming up of the horror conventions that we are attending as vendors. It has all of the ways that you could purchase as well. Whether you're in an area like Texas right now, we are still in theaters. We got extended for an extra week. If
Amazing.
you're in San Antonio, Texas, then you can go purchase tickets through our website, and you get 3 bonus gifts as a result. And if you are not in the area, then you can still purchase, and you can get pre-sale advance tickets to watch online for 48 hours or a lifetime access, and it'll be done through Vimeo.com, which is the video streaming service that we're housing the movie on. And the giveaways are, there's a $25,000 grand prize getaway experience. You can go to the actual cabin location where we filmed The Fetus. You get a $2,000 debit card spending spree. You get like things like this. You'll get like some of our actual props that were made by our 2-time award-winning special effects makeup artist in Colombia. And like the mechatronics, like the creatures that the mouth will actually move, the arms will move. Those are worth like over $10,000. And merchandise, signed merchandise, and digital products. And so the second one is like a whole suite of digital products, like our documentary, the photo book, the behind the scenes making of book, storyboard, screenplay. And then the third thing is an actual postcard that we will mail to you. And I'm actually working on printing it today, and it's got Lauren LaVera on there. It's going to be pretty good quality and collector's item, and you can actually take it and you can have her sign it, or you can have other cast or crew get it signed as well if you go to conventions. So
amazing. Thanks, Joe. This has been amazing, and we appreciate you giving us the time to talk to us today. We can't wait to see what you do in the future. Hopefully you'll come on again when you're promoting your next movie. Best of luck with The Fetus. I'm sure everyone will enjoy it just as much as we did. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josh, Amy. Thank you.
So that was Joe. That was awesome. The movie is awesome. Like he said, he told you where to go see it. It's out early April, start of April on the digital release. If you book it now, there's a bunch of extra shit you get with it, which is awesome. It's got, what did you say, an extended release now in the cinema?
Yeah, so it says on the website, thefetusfilm.com, that they have extended their theatrical run for a second week until March 19th.
So it must be doing well. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that because it's a great, great movie. You really got to check it out. Now, I have a little theory.
Yes.
I've worked out why everything crashed and why the echo was there minutes before the interview.
Because the knob was turned up, like you
said. No. This is the downside to working so close to a Ouija board. So I've come up with an idea. I've come up with a plan.
Okay.
And we're going to have to leave you people right now because we got to try and fix this here. The spookers are coming out of this thing over here. It's starting to freak out and it's fucking up the equipment. So I got us a little incense. If you're watching the video, you'll see it. So you take this one and I'll take the other one. And we're going to do a little bit of exercise in here.
It's supposed to be sage.
Incense works too. I saw it last time I was in church a million years ago. Yeah.
That's still not in the right time.
No, just shake it at him like that.
No, because you start a house fire.
It's fine. I'm fixing it. And next time we interview someone, we just got to shake this shit around here like that, like crazy, and it'll be fine.
Clear the aura.
Exactly. So I did actually apologize to Joe. We apologized to Joe for the bad audio on our part. It was a little bit of a fuck up, a little bit of a boo-boo. But like I said, do you know what I compared it to in my head today? I was like, this must be what it feels like when a comedian goes on stage and bombs. You know?
You are being very hard on yourself.
No, it's just the equipment fucked me over.
I know.
Do you know?
I know.
And do you know there was one point though, and I had to bring it up because I just found it funny in my own head. when he referred to us as influencers. Oh, why you give me incense back? They're going to come get us.
I'm
when
not
he
well.
referred to us as influencers at the end, the old man in me shriveled up. And it was like, no. Yeah.
Did he?
But I'm like, I suppose. Right, cool, whatever. But I don't take any offense to it. It's all right. But I suppose that's the technical term, but I'm too old for that term. I can't
You
be
prefer
an
the term
influencer.
podcaster.
Pretty much. I don't know
Ooh,
what to
Josh,
do
you're
with this
smoking us out
incense
if you
now.
ask me, I give it to you.
Right, Dr. Smoking Steam.
Oh,
So if you get the video, you'll see this, and it's very, very. No, it's not really that funny. It's really stupid, to be honest. Anyway, the video is available for free on Patreon right now with the chat with Joe, and that's about it. We'll be back next week with more tales from the Horrorverse. See you all next time. Same live time. Same Horrorverse channel. Okay, love you. Bye bye. Here, take your incense back. We got to get rid of these ghosts.
Oh,
Fucking
put it in
bastards.
Damien's eyes.
Bye.